So what is the job retention scheme that's been set up by the government due to coronavirus? How can you apply for it? Are you eligible? Watch this video as I go into all of the details. Okay, so the first bit I'm going to go on to is 80% of UK wages paid by HMRC. And this is for employees and furlough. So we'll talk about furlough. Now, yesterday, I did a video with Cheryl Willey of Peak HR. The name tells you what she does. She's in HR. She's our HR representative. She does a fantastic job. And I got her on the Zoom conference call, and we had an interview to talk about this particular situation. And it was just very, very useful to say, well, what can we do? What are the rights of the employees? And one thing I would say, if you are an employer, have decent conversations with your employees and make sure you back up whatever you say in writing. Okay, that's the first thing. If you're an employee, you should be speaking to your employer and understanding your rights of what furlough is. A furlough is the displacement of somebody, almost not for a redundancy side, but displacement for a period of time. So in this regard, we are talking about employees. Now, the employee must have been employed from the 28th of February or beforehand. So this is a huge problem. So Cheryl and I had a huge discussion about this because we're in the same boat, whereby we have got someone starting with us, even though they're remote working, and I love our business, it is remote working. We are still going on in our practice because we've been practicing remote working for so long. And we've been doing this social isolation for 4 weeks already. So we was ahead of the curve before the British got on board with that. I'm not saying I should be the Prime Minister of this country. No, really, I am not saying that. I'll be horrendous. But my point is we did isolation, and we have got this particular problem though, because we have got an employee that's meant to be starting on the 1st of April. And what we were planning to do is that they was meant to be coming on board into our office for training and to understand the way we do things, because it is slightly different to other organizations in terms of accountancy and tax preparation and so on. And we can't do that anymore because we're doing social distancing. And that person is meant to be starting in April, but if they get ill and they've left their job now, they won't be covered by furlough because they were not employed by the 28th of Feb. They have left that employment. Now they've gone to another employment with us at Optimise, and they won't be covered by furlough. So we're trying to do all we can to say, well, keep yourself safe because we need you fit and healthy because you need to get paid. So if you are an employee or a director and you want to get this furlough, you need to have been employed on or before the 28th of February 2020. And we can't forget as well, the grant funding itself is money that's going to be coming from the government into the bank accounts of the employer, and then the employer will pay the employee. In reality, what's going to happen is that the employer will need to pay the employee who's furloughed 80% of their wages, or £2,500, whichever is the lowest amount. I will restate that. So it's 80% of the wages or 2,500, whichever is the lowest. Now, I did a poor accent of a South African there, whatever. And I really wasn't intending to do that. I was trying to be serious. And in my mind, it just went off somewhere else. So let's imagine if someone's on £100,000, well, do the maths, but you will know that they're on circa £8,300 or whatever per month. Well, they will only get that maximum of £2,500. So we do need to bear that in mind, that it's 80% of their wages or 2,500, whichever is the less. Now, what will happen is that there is a client portal that will be opening at the end of April. Now, if you kind of recall, this is going backdated from the 1st of March, and it will be lasting until the 30th of June. Ultimately, it's going to be going that way. Now, the thing for me about this situation is if the portal from HMRC is not opening, there is no links. If you look for a link now to register for this furlough as an employer or an employee to at least understand, okay, is there an application process live? The answer is no. That's not going to be coming on board until the end of April 2020. So we've got this distance now, and I'm talking about end of April, not the beginning. So we've got a whole month at least to wait for this to be enacted. And even when that's taking place, these guys are going to be so busy in HMRC that we won't have the staff. I don't think we're going to see payments really coming out of HMRC into our business bank accounts until May. So if you've got employees, well, you've got employees now that have been with you. Let's count this. You've got March, you would have paid. Now, furlough and COVID wasn't really around. I know we're just into March, but you might have paid them mid of March. If you pay them the end of March and they're already on leave, then you've got this decision. Well, do I go through furlough and pay them this 80%? Well, if they're off work, not generating an income for your business, they can be furloughed and stay at home. But now you've got to support them by paying 80% of their wages out of your business bank account. You've got to do that for the end of March, end of April, and then end of May. And at that point in time, you may then get 3 lots of those monies that you've paid to your employee back. Maybe that's too late. So do bear that in mind, because if you are a business owner and you're thinking that HMRC can pay them directly, that's not going to be the case. What will happen is that you as an employer will have to put in your list of employees that have been furloughed, and you would have to prove that you've made payments to them, and then they will pay you back. Now, again, it's £2,500 as a maximum, but you do get the employer's NIC contributions back, so national insurance contributions, and their pensions up to a maximum of 3%. So you'll get this 2,500, you'll get their pension contributions at 3%. If you do more, that's out of your pocket, not theirs. So you're going to have to do some maths and homework with your accountant, which, to be fair, accountants are going to have to get their heads around it. So please be patient with them. So it's quite complicated, and there is genuinely a delay in terms of getting this money. So let's repeat this process. So in summary, I should say, furlough can only apply to employees and directors of a company if they have been employed from the 28th of February. And it will take back, in terms of the wages and so on, it will look at the wages that they've been paid in the previous 3 months. It will not take into account any bonuses or commissions. This is purely the basic salary of that person. You as an employer will have to continue to pay the employee 80% of their wages if they cannot work and staying at home, or the maximum of 2,500. You will have to apply for this grant through the HMRC website at the end of April, and then you will get paid in May, possibly June. So that is the summary of furlough. Now, I'm just going to go into this. The other side that we need to bear in mind, in fact, I'm just going to stay off that page. I'm going to stay onto this, because there are questions out there to say, well, what if I'm a one-man band, as in I'm a director of my company and I'm generating the income. Okay. So you are an employee, don't forget, as a director. So that's one. You're in business to generate a profit. And now the profit is gone because of COVID-19 coronavirus lockdown. That tells me straight away that you will be able to apply for this grant. Now, the thing I would say about this is, if you are a director and you have many, many employees and you're not in the front facing of organization that generates the income, I think you're going to be hard to justify the fact that you then go on holiday, because you may have to do things like marketing. Well, marketing doesn't change. You're not generating income, but your job could you could be at home carrying on your work. Now, the phrase I've heard already on Facebook is, how will they know? Well, that's fair. But let's not forget, if you're in a role that is, public facing, then HMRC won't take too long to find out that you're doing things in a working capacity for you to then be fraudulent. So you do need to be careful with this. If you're a one-man band limited company and all of a sudden your income drops off the cliff, then my view is, well, you could then get this income, this grant from HMRC. There is a catch with this, because I have clients that have a limited company that pay themselves a wage each month, but all of their income is from property. Now, can they furlough themselves and get this money? No, because the rental income will be generated. They are not doing something directly. The income from the properties is being generated without really their involvement on a day-to-day basis. So you couldn't justify that as a salary to be furloughed. Ultimately, you will be there for tenants. You will pick up that phone to a tenant if they need your help. You are technically working for that income to be generated. If, however, you are a limited company with tenants in properties that you own inside that company, and all of a sudden the rental income all dries up and you have no rental income at all, then I would suggest that furlough could apply because you have no income. So this is all about, has the income as a one-man band or even a few people in your organization to be furloughed, has your income dropped off a cliff? And if so, then the grant funding for furlough will apply. If your company, though, has income coming in and you expect yourself to be furloughed, I don't think that's something you could justify. That's just the way I look at the way that HMRC have interpreted it on their website. This is not my opinion. These are the words that they're using on their website. And indeed, they talked about fraud and COVID-19 as well. And there are snippets in that kind of relay the information I'm passing on to you. So furlough, let's just continue. So these are the discussions I had yesterday with Cheryl Willie. Discuss everything with your employee or your employer. Must issue employees with documents. So this is whether you're an employee or you have employees, make sure there is documentation to support what is going on. If you are being furloughed, make sure you understand the employment law behind that. You know, you might be furloughed. For how long are you going to be furloughed for? If your employer then says, well, I need you to do some work. No. They are furloughing you so that they can receive money from the government. Do not allow your employers to give you homework if you are being furloughed, because they are not paying you ultimately. And equally, if you're the employer, don't give your employees work, because you could be in a real hot, sticky situation whereby you've broken employment law. So do get some guidance on that. And it does say cannot work whilst being paid by HMRC. So again, going back to my point, if you're thinking that, well, I can make benefits from this, please stop, because HMRC will be targeting people and they'll be reviewing what's been requested and looking at the income from the company as well. Well, why not book a call with me, Simon Misiewicz, your Finance Tax Director, for at least an hour to understand how we can help you grow your business without paying the tax.